You're sitting there with your iPhone 17 Pro or your 16 Pro, or honestly, maybe your 15 Pro, and you're doing the thing. You know the thing. You're talking yourself into or out of upgrading. And every year it gets harder to justify because every year Apple finds a new way to make the decision maddening. But this year is actually different. And I don't say that lightly because I've watched people use that phrase to describe the iPhone 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. But the iPhone 18 Pro has a list of upgrades that, when you stack them together, make a genuinely compelling case to hold off on whatever you're thinking of buying right now. There's also one thing on this list that I genuinely didn't see coming. We'll get to it. So here's the situation. The iPhone 18 Pro drops in September 2026. That's not far, and the leaks right now are unusually consistent, which means instead of the usual rumor chaos, we actually have a pretty clear picture of what's coming. I went through everything on every credible leak, every supply chain report, every Mark Gurman Bloomberg drop, and pulled out the reasons that actually matter to a real person deciding whether to spend $1,000 or more on a phone, not the spec sheet stuff, the real stuff. There are 10 of them, some are obvious, one is genuinely wild, and one might make you angry, but in a good way. Let's start with the chip because this one's foundational. The iPhone 18 Pro is moving to Apple's A20 chip, built on TSMC's 2 nanometer process. That shift to 2 nanometers increases transistor density, meaning higher performance, and the A20 series is expected to deliver roughly 15% more speed and about 30% better efficiency compared to the A19 in the iPhone 17. Now, 15% speed gain sounds like marketing math, the kind of number that means nothing in your daily life, but here's what that 30% efficiency number actually means for you. Longer battery life without adding a bigger battery, which is the cleanest way Apple can improve battery life without making the phone a brick. The A20 chip is also being packaged with TSMC's wafer-level multi-chip module technology, which could mean RAM integrated directly onto the same wafer as the CPU, GPU, and neural engine rather than sitting adjacent to it. And that could mean faster Apple Intelligence performance and better power efficiency at the same time. So yes, the chip upgrade is real and it compounds into everything else on this list. Okay, this next one is the thing that made me do a double take. Apple reportedly intends to equip the iPhone 18 Pro models with a variable aperture lens. Specifically, the main 48 megapixel fusion camera on both Pro models will offer variable aperture. That would be a first for any iPhone ever. For people who shoot photos and video seriously, this is actually a huge deal. Variable aperture means you can physically control how much light hits the sensor depending on the situation. Bright daylight, narrow it down. Dark restaurant, open it up. Right now, your iPhone's main camera has a fixed aperture, which means the phone is making that call for you, not you. This is the gap between iPhone camera and a real camera that's been stubbornly difficult to close, and they might actually be closing it. Speaking of cameras, Samsung is reportedly working on a new 3-layer stacked image sensor for the iPhone 18, referred to as PD-TR-Logic. It integrates 3 layers of circuitry, which would improve camera responsiveness, reduce noise, and increase dynamic range. Sony has been Apple's sole image sensor supplier for years, so Samsung's entry would mark a significant shift in the iPhone's camera supply chain. Now, 2 things here. 1, more competition in your supply chain is almost always good for the end product. 2, Samsung makes sensors for some of the best cameras on Android phones right now. If this sensor performs the way those specs suggest, the iPhone 18 Pro camera could be the biggest year-over-year camera jump in a while. And honestly, that's the part the spec sheet doesn't capture. Moving on, it's been rumored that Face ID's flood illuminator will be moved under the screen on the iPhone 18 Pro models, paving the way for a significantly smaller dynamic island. The most likely scenario, based on leaker consensus, is a smaller pill cutout for the camera remaining in a central position, with some components of Face ID actually underneath the glass. So full under display Face ID isn't here yet, but the dynamic island gets meaningfully smaller, and we take another step toward the inevitable all-screen iPhone, which is either exciting or irrelevant to you, depending on how much you actually use the dynamic island. I use it maybe twice a week, so for me, smaller is better. Now, here's the one I mentioned at the top, the one that sounds like science fiction. Apple's next generation C2 modem chip is expected in 2026 and should be more capable than the current C1, potentially featuring M-Wave 5G connectivity and getting much closer in performance to the Qualcomm modem chips it's designed to replace. The C1 already showed in the iPhone Air that Apple's in-house modem is legitimately competitive. The C2 is the next step. Better connectivity, better power management, deeper integration with the A20 chip. But here's the part. The C2 modem could add support for 5G satellite connectivity. This would potentially allow the iPhone 18 Pro models to offer full internet access over satellite, not just emergency SOS, actual internet, supplementing 5G networks for increased coverage when standard networks are unavailable. Apple is reportedly planning to allow third-party apps to access the satellite connection, and Apple Maps and the Photos app could work over satellite. Let me put that plainly. Your iPhone connecting to the internet via satellite with your actual apps in places where there's zero cell service. That's not a gimmick, that's infrastructure. The iPhone 18 Pro is also expected to get LTPO Plus displays, which are more power efficient and could contribute to longer battery life. Combined with the A20's efficiency gains, you're potentially looking at the most battery efficient Pro iPhone Apple has ever made. I can't give you a specific number because nobody's tested it yet. And anyone who tells you they know the battery life right now is guessing. But the ingredients are pointing in the right direction. Here's a smaller one that's a little funny when you think about it. Apple is reportedly simplifying the camera control buttons design on iPhone 18 models. The current camera control uses both capacitive and pressure sensors under a sapphire crystal surface, but Apple will reportedly remove the capacitive sensing layer and retain only pressure sensing on the iPhone 18. The simplified version isn't about reducing functionality, it's about saving money. The current solution is apparently very expensive for Apple and is generating costly after-sales repairs. So Apple built something expensive, realized it was breaking things, and then figured out how to make it cheaper and more reliable. That's either good engineering or embarrassing engineering, depending on your perspective. Either way, the button should work better and be less likely to ghost on you 6 months in. Design-wise, the iPhone 18 Pro is expected to largely retain the same silhouette as the 17 Pro, same raised plateau on the back, same 3-lens triangle arrangement, but the iPhone 18 Pro models could drop the current two-tone look of the rear casing from the 17 Pro in favor of a more seamless aesthetic, which if you saw the 17 Pro in certain colors, you know that two-tone was a choice. In February 2026, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reported Apple is testing a deep red finish for the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max. Rumors of purple and brown finishes have also circulated, but Gurman believes those might be variants of the same red direction. And yes, according to a Chinese leaker, the iPhone 18 Pro won't come in black this year. Second year running, black iPhone Pro fans are having a rough couple of years. This next one is actually a strategic shift worth paying attention to. Apple is reportedly planning a major change to its iPhone release cycle, adopting a two-phase rollout. starting with the iPhone 18 series. The iPhone 18 Pro, iPhone 18 Pro Max, and iPhone Fold will be released in September 2026, followed by the iPhone 18 and iPhone 18e in spring 2027. This means all the new iPhones dropping in September 2026 will have price tags of $999 or more. What this tells you, Apple is going all in on the premium end this fall. The Pro lineup gets the spotlight, the full marketing push, the holiday window. If you're going to buy a Pro iPhone, this is the year they want you to do it, and the year they'll be making sure it counts. And last one, all iPhone 18 models could include a 24 megapixel front-facing camera, up from 18 megapixels. For most of you watching this, that means better selfies, better FaceTime quality, and for anyone shooting content on their phone, a front camera that finally feels like it belongs on a $1,000 device. And the selfie camera is almost always the forgotten spec, not this year. So here's where I land. If you're on an iPhone 15 Pro or older, and you've been holding out, the iPhone 18 Pro is shaping up to be the most compelling reason to upgrade in at least 2 years. Variable aperture camera, 2 nanometer chip, potentially full 5G satellite internet, smaller dynamic island, better sensor, cleaner design. That's not a spec sheet of marginal improvements. That's a fundamentally better phone. If you just bought a 17 Pro, you're fine, stay put. The 18 is not worth a loss on a year-old device. And if you're deciding between waiting for the 18 Pro and grabbing the 17 Pro right now, wait, you're 5 months away. The delta is too significant to ignore. One thing I'm genuinely curious about, the satellite internet feature. If that works the way the leaks suggest, third-party app access, real connectivity, not just SOS, that's the kind of feature that rewrites what a phone actually is. Not in a marketing way, in a practical, I can use my phone anywhere on Earth way. I want to know if you would actually use that. Drop it in the comments. Serious question. See you next one. Peace.